Good morning, sunshine. Welcome to Morning Inspiration with Friends with our host, Miss Inspiration. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe as you sit back and listen.
Good morning. Good morning. Happy Monday. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there that celebrated yesterday. Mothers like myself that have lost one, whether it's through miscarriage or stillborn, stillbirth. Happy Mother's Day to you. And I hope everyone had a great day. And I hope everyone is going to have a great weekend. A great week. But we're here today. Let's just take that in. I feel good. Don't worry about that. I feel good. A little sleepy, but I feel good. But today I'm gonna keep this message short because one, we get back down to storage, and then two, it's a heavy message, but I'm gonna try not to make it too heavy, right? But before we do that, I'm Tanisha Shanae, Miss Inspiration. I'm an inspirational speaker, lifestyle strategist, educator, author. I do so many different things. However, today I am here to inspire you, and God gave me a message over the weekend. And this morning it was kind of confirmed because when I opened up my Bible app, I was sent to Mark 16, verse 15. And he told them, go into the world and preach the good news to everyone. And this, I'm not preaching, but I'm teaching, right? So this weekend I shared a story that reminded me of how important it is to pay attention spiritually. And it has a lot to do with discernment. And one thing I want people to understand is that sometimes God might be trying to get your attention, and we often dismiss it. And when we dismiss it, it could be attached to something bigger than us. So, give you a quick overview of what I shared on Threads. It has like over 3,000 likes, shares, and stuff. But it's a deep story. So back when I started teaching, you guys know I've been teaching adults since 2010. My first year full time was 2011, and I had a student that it's like I knew my students. Like I would get to know my students, get to know their personalities, the things that they do, what they normally don't do. And there was a particular student that normally was like boisterous, cracking jokes. Like if I started singing, that was a way for them to like start poking fun. But this particular day, student came in, was very dry, had nothing to say, didn't have an attitude, but just wasn't there. And I started singing, nothing. So it was just like, all right, let me just pay attention to this. When class was over, the student came up to me to hand me a piece of paper. And the pit of my stomach, I knew I don't take this letter. Like, don't take this piece of paper. Don't let her leave. Like, I just heard that. It was like, don't let her leave. I didn't look at that paper. I didn't even touch the paper. And so I asked the student, like, stay for a moment. I got someone to get my supervisors. And students all upset or emotional. When I did look at the paper, it was what I suspected it was. It was a goodbye note, a permanent goodbye note. And my boss came, took the student. They was able to give the student the help and attention that they needed. So that's the good part. The part that I want to talk about is the part of hearing those uncomfortable things, hearing those scary things, and then being able to act on it. And act on it in a way that we realize, like, God might be trying to tell me something, you know. And so often I know that with many of us, we get very distracted. Um, it's a lot going on. You're focusing on your problems. You're moving quick. I'm from New York. This was back in my New York days. So we was always moving fast. Like, normally you start focusing on like this period just ended. It's time for me to go to the next period. I can't remember if it was the next period I had lunch or something like that. But it's just like we always just moving so quickly. So God could be speaking to us, right? But we don't hear that because we are like so disconnected. We're so disconnected, or we're just so distracted. And it's easy to get distracted in this society, but that's what I want us to focus on, right? I want us to focus on how when we start hearing those things that don't make sense, because I promise you, a lot of the things that I have experienced in my relationship and my walk with God, it doesn't make sense. And a lot of people will use that as a way of saying, man, I didn't hear God say, he didn't tell me to do that. He didn't tell me to stop this person, So we'll just keep moving on. And we don't realize that that stop was, maybe that person, you stopping that person was going to prevent them from being hit by a car. You making that phone call could stop someone from taking their life. Like there's so many different avenues and connections that I've experienced and that I share with people of the spiritual part of it, right? He really might be trying to get your attention so that you can do something, so that at that particular moment you could be a vessel. And I get it. We think because how religion has created this, they created this and made it seem as though like there's a group of people that are the only ones that are special in this category, right? We think that it's only pastors. We think it's only people that are labeled as prophets. No, each one of us are a vessel. Each one of us have the ability. Each one of us have a spiritual connection to the Lord, right? So when we already naturally have a spiritual connection to the Lord, I don't need one of those fancy titles for God to use me. You don't need one of those fancy titles for God to use you. All you need to do is just pay attention to what God is telling you to do and follow those instructions. No matter how crazy it sounds, no matter how busy you think you are, you're not bigger than God's program. You are not bigger than God's program. Stop. Stop and listen. Look at how that situation could have turned really bad. And I think back to at that particular time, like the president of the institution came, thanked me, for being attentive and for paying attention. And, the vice president had came and was like, how come you were the only one that picked it up? And I keep telling people, like, some people really just they don't desire that level of relationship with God. And I don't fault them for that. At one point in my life, I was against this, right? That was like this 20 when this happens, this was probably around the time I was not fully in my walk with God. I was not, because I didn't start that relationship didn't really start until 2012. But that was the end of 2012 when I started the weight loss journey. Because I thought that was all that God was going to do was help me to lose weight. I put God in a box. Could you imagine? This is why I say, like, we got to pay attention to those things. So I just want us to be attentive. Be attentive to that. Don't feel any type of way. I would rather, if I heard stop, I would rather stop and nothing happens and look foolish than me not stopping and someone, running into me. It's those little moments. And guess what? There are going to be those times when you might be out and about and you might be the only person that God is speaking to. And God is telling you, and everyone else is doing their own thing. And we tend to compare ourselves. But why God's singling me out? How come everyone else is? We don't know. God could be also trying to tell them, give them the same warnings, but you might be the only person that hears. And when you are the only one that hears, then I need you to be the only one that takes action. Because at that particular time, you could be the vessel that's going to be needed and to be used in that particular moment so that God can execute whatever needs to happen. He really just needs us to be obedient. This is what really came down to, and that's what the comments has said on Threads. Many people were like, oh my gosh, like if more people were just obedient like you were, you just was obedient of a simple, don't let them leave, right? That was the simplest thing that I heard God say. Don't let them leave. Do not let them walk out this door. And that scared me because I didn't know if them walking out the door meant they may never come back. But that's what that piece of paper was reflecting. So you have to do whatever it is and just keep going out there and listening and being obedient. And like I said, I'm going to keep drilling this because obedience does not always mean that it makes sense. Obedience does not always mean that it's going to make sense to everyone. It might not even make sense to you. But every time, my God, every time I have been obedient, even when it didn't make sense, it worked out. It worked out. I was never wrong, or something amazing happened, or I was able to witness something that on surface in the flesh, that wouldn't make sense, but and then it ends up happening in the physical. So if God is getting your attention about something as you're about your day, and this is also a PSA to slow down so that you can listen, so that you can hear, right? We are having this problem in the spiritual realm where we're not hearing. We're just going. And that is actually the enemy's plan. The enemy wants that. The enemy does not want us to be attentive to God's messages. The enemy wants us to stay distracted. And he wants us to stay distracted on our finances, on the fact that we don't have the relationship. Our business might not be the 7 figures that we keep talking about. We may not have the best health. He wants us to stay focused on all of those things so that every time God is speaking to you, you don't hear because you're focusing on the problem. You're focusing on what is happening to you instead of God using you to be a vessel for someone else. And yes, this is going to be my last point. You can be a vessel. You can be used in your down season. You can be used in your trouble season. God can use you. So don't think, oh, well, Tanisha must be mean when things are going better in my life. No, because I don't know what I was going through, but I know during that time and that season of my life, I was suicidal. So just imagine that here it was, I probably had made an attempt or something months prior, and God was using me in that season, in that moment, to be a blessing to someone else. I didn't have it all together. I wasn't perfect. My money wasn't right. I wasn't in the healthiest relationship. I wasn't the healthiest. But God still was able to use me as a vessel in that particular moment to save his child. And that's how we have to start acting. That's how we have to start thinking. He wants to use us because he wants us to use and help one another. This is the reason why it's not always about the money. The money is going to come. The blessings are going to come. You just got to believe that. You have to believe that. You have to stand on that. But you just got to be like, God, you know what? Until that comes, how can I be of service to you? How can I be of service to you? Every day, I'm asking God, especially when I used to go outside, like when I used to be in physical jobs, what's my assignment today? What's my assignment? That was it. It was like I would wake up like, what's the homework assignment for today? I got to that point in my life. What's the homework assignment today? Because I know you're going to do something that's going to make me work. You know what I'm saying? It's going to make me do something. But that's the beautiful part. So say yes, pay attention, slow down, and just keep going out there and doing amazing things and good things, right? Let's just continue being good people. We never can run out of good people. We need more. We need more people that care, more people that are attentive, and again, more people that are listening and obeying to what exactly God is telling them to do. So I am your girl, Tanisha Chanel. We'll be back here on Wednesday for Morning Inspiration with Friends. And I love you guys. Be well and be blessed.
Wow, Tanisha, that was a powerful message. I hope everyone was blessed by today's message. Listen, if you are not tuned in, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Meet us for Morning Inspiration with Friends every Monday through Friday at 7 a.m.-ish CT time. See you next time, friend.